Hello there, my beautiful and lovely gamers. My name is Jonal. Today we are taking a look at a tracer guide in general. If you are anyone but the fan, this guide should be very helpful for you. This is a guide on how you should play tracer up to the highest level of plays with her. So this is going to be a great guide for you guys to improve. Now, I'm a private coach, as a lot of you know. I coach anything from bronze players up to top 500 players in really any role. And I also coach team. I just finished coaching a 4.5k team. I'm also now coaching a 4k team. I think the 4.5k team went 9-1 in open division. So I'm done with that. I have my summer break right now. So as a discount, if you want private coaching, if you need help to improve or just want to improve faster, get good game sense, either for you as an individual or for an entire team, learn how to play better together, I'm doing a €10 discount right now. So go on the Discord server or the Twitter, link down in the description, either tweet at me or send me a private message on Discord saying you want private coaching. It's €40 for a 2-hour session, meaning I will be watching your VOD for about 40 minutes, and then we have a good 80 minutes where we will be going over your mistakes and how to fix them, and talk in general more about your gameplay. This will not be like YouTube coaching, like a lot of fake quote-unquote coaches do on YouTube, where they just say, you have bad aim, give me money now. This will be explaining the game sense and the background mechanics for you and really helping you to improve. So if you're interested, that's the offer right now, and I hope I see you some in my DMs later. Now, let's talk about Tracer then. So in general, I will be focusing mostly on her abilities, not really on her playstyle. That could be an entire video if you want that, and tell me down in the comments. I'll be working on a playstyle video, because this is more focusing on her kit and how to properly utilize it to make sure you win the maximum amount of fights. We'll also go a little bit in on how you can actually deal as much damage with your aiming so that you aim really well, even though you have shoddy aim or not that good. You know, this will at least help you get your aim hopefully more consistent. In the end, you need to, of course, work to get these things implemented to your game style. But the rule of Tracer is, in general, the same rule as with a lot of heroes. We always want to fight with as many advantages on our side as possible. This is especially important for Tracer, since a Tracer a lot of time takes 1v1s, duels, or sometimes even 2v1s or 3v1s. So having all our abilities off cooldown, maybe even having our ultimate, and even better, also having the enemy team having not their abilities on cooldown. So Ana uses a biotic grenade, or Sari doesn't have a personal bubble, McCree doesn't have flashbang, right? All of these being off cooldown is incredibly important for a Tracer to try to track and try to use. The first ability is Blink. This is what most people don't think about too much when they play their Tracer, because it regains so fast, right? Like, you get it so fast, but it's incredibly important to micromanage this. So the general rule of Blinks, and again, there's always exceptions to the rule, is that the very first blink is a free blink. You burn it whenever you want, it regains fairly fast, and you still have 2 blinks in backup if you for some reason get caught off surprise. But we still don't waste it, right? If you can walk up to the Zenyatta, then you walk up to him instead of blinking up to him, unless for some reason you need to blink up to him, right? Still don't want to waste it, but you can use it to travel around the map a little bit and so on, right? The second blink is a combat blink. This normally is only burned in combat situation, unless, again, if you're traveling around the map or leaving a spawn and you know there's a far way to the fight itself, there's no one that you will be meeting. Of course, you can blink it as long as you get it back on cooldown, off cooldown, my bad, when the fight starts. But in general, we only burn this during like combat sessions when we're getting aimed at, or we need to engage really fast, or we need to disengage fast, or dodge stuff, and so on, right? It's very costly for us to burn this one, because then there's 2 blinks on cooldown, and those actually take time to wind back up to having all our blinks back. And the last one is an emergency blink, and that's what it should be used for. Emergency only, when you dodge something. This is the most costly blink. If we burn the last blink, then we have burned that we essentially, until you get a new blink back, you're sitting duck. You are easy to kill, you can't dodge anything. And if you want to dodge something, you might even have to burn your recall, which you really don't want to just burn to dodge something, right? And that is the rules of blinks. So the first is a free blink. You can kind of be casual with it. It's not too costly to burn. Second blink is quite costly. You can still burn it relatively with ease. The third blink is like you don't really burn it, except when you really have to. And it's very costly for you to burn that last blink. The next ability up is Recall, and Recall actually has its own rule set, and that is that we don't engage a fight, we don't go for a target as long as recall is on cooldown. Because as soon as we don't have recall, we are very easy to 1v1. We can dodge with blinks and so on, but recall gives us HP, and in general does that we can disengage certain fights, and it's a very, very important ability. Meaning, if we waste recall, there's a good portion of time where we cannot do anything, where we are not allowed to do anything because we're waiting for it to come back up. And as you can just imagine, being 12 seconds where you cannot engage anyone, where you cannot really fight anyone, that's a huge, lack of, wasted damage potential and so on. So a lot of time, it's actually better, if you can, to blink to a health pack and pick that one up than burning recall. And this is also where, blink management, making sure you have enough blinks, ties into the fact that you do not have to waste your recall, right? Because as soon as you burn all 3 blinks or so on, you a lot of time have to waste recall, and all of a sudden there's 11 seconds, 12 seconds, or whatever it is, where you're sitting there and cannot do absolutely anything. Or at least has to play really, really passive. Now, when it comes to the guns, there's not too much to know except the sweet spot range of the guns and how you can aim with them. Tracer's guns are these submachine guns. They have a lot of spread. They're almost like full automatic shotguns, right? They have big spread, and they do a lot of damage when you hit with them. So normally, a lot of players aim for the head, especially in higher tiers and so on, when they feel comfortable with it. A lot of players aim for the head, especially against tanks. But especially if you are not a very incredible guy with this insane aim, you can consistently go for headshots all the time, then you should definitely think about aiming for the upper parts of the torso / the throat. I normally say aim for the throat. This does that your spread, if you are in the sweet spot, which I will be talking about very, very soon, will do that you do a lot of the shots will hit the body, and then some of them will hit the head, giving you a very consistent damage roll. So you essentially know how much damage output you're always gonna get. Especially targets that you find very hard to hit. Maybe you find it hard to hit a Mercy, for example. She's always flying, she's very irritating. Or maybe you have problem hitting a Moira, whatever. Having that range do that you can keep your sweet spot range and still do consistently high amounts of damage. Now, I said sweet spot range, what do I mean? Well, on the screen you will be seeing me just jumping around on some Anabots, and most of these shots are at sweet spot range. You can see the closer you are to something, you can pick up whatever you have on your desk right now, pick that up. The closer that is to your face, the more of your field of vision it will take. So the bigger it looks, essentially, right? The further that thing is away, the smaller it becomes. So, if someone is really close to me as Tracer, they don't have to move that much to go out of my field of view. However, if they're really far behind or very far back away from me, then I really have to, they can run around or whatever, and it's very easy for me to keep tracking them with my eyes. So sweet spot range is kind of like here. They are easy for me to track with my eyes. Their movements are not so big and dramatic that I have to throw my mouse on my desk to do 180s almost to keep a track on them. And I'm still in that range where my guns are effective, where the spread is not so big or so large that I can still land the majority of my bullets, especially if I aim for like the throat, the body, and so on. The scary part of here is, of course, that's also a lot of time the sweet spot for a lot of other heroes. Maybe a McCree would like a little bit further back, or a soldier would like me to be a little bit further away from him, so I do less damage. But for them, they are also very easy for us to track, and that's come down, of course, to how your strafing pattern are, how good you are at dodging, how good you are to using your blinks to dodge abilities will keep you alive. But this is the ideal range. For example, if you want to assassinate someone from behind, let's see it as Nyara, you can walk up behind him. When you get into this sweet spot range, you know, okay, right now, I can efficiently constantly track him and deal consistent nice damage. So you keeping yourself in this range will at least do that your damage output is incredibly good for you, and your blinks as well are very hard for them to keep track of because you're so close to them that one blink, a lot of times they have to do really big motions to try to keep following you with the mouse, since you will be blinking out of their field of view. Now I would be talking about melee and melee combos and how to burn melees, and also I said about playstyle and so on, but I'm thinking about making that into another video if you guys are interested. So definitely tell me, because this video is already starting to become way too long. And I know if I post too long videos, no one wants to watch them. So I'm cutting off, like I'm removing melees and strafing and all that kind of good stuff. Even though it's very, very important. And rather than I'm focusing now on her ultimate. Because Pulse Bomb is incredible. If it's very, very difficult. It's one of the most difficult ultimates to use because you need to have such a good aim. And especially if you're a hit scan player, you play Tracer, it's a projectile with the pulse bomb. It's a very slow projectile that needs to be really close. So it can be very difficult to land. Now, for a lot of players, there are a couple of tricks you can use. You can start aiming for the lower parts of the body when you drop it. That way you're not tossing it past them. Because you probably experienced this, that you throw out the pulse bomb, you miss, and you toss it like across the fucking map. No one gets hit by it, and the guy just like stands still, and it still won't hit him. So if you aim for the ground, at least if you miss his body, you will hit the ground close to him, and a lot of time that will do damage to him, or even maybe kill him if you're very, very lucky. And if you drop it inside a cluster of enemies, then that can be extra juicy. Now there is a technique that can increase your consistency with your pulse bomb, which is this: you press Q, you pull out the bomb of your backpack or wherever she's pulling it from, and then you blink, and then there will be no what can I say, drop time. There's essentially no cast time. It's almost like a hit scan weapon. I have explained this in a video down below, so you can go and check that out if you're more interested. This, of course, does require that you know your blink range. You know the range of how and where you should blink, which is, again, something that I can talk about in a totally different video. Now and then, I want to talk about the waste of Pulse Bomb, because Pulse Bomb is a spam ultimate. That's what it's almost classified as. You build it really fast, therefore you can a lot of time utilize it way more, right? A Dragon Blade is far more costly, or Graviton is far more costly, because it can take a lot of time to build one, and therefore wasting them is so huge. But Pulse Bomb you can build relatively fast every time, consistently as well. So a lot of people throw them out, but please, that does not mean waste the Pulse Bomb. A lot of people go on a team fight on the point, the fight is lost, and then they use the Pulse Bomb, and then to try to do some Hail Mary crazy play. They might even get a pick or two out of it, but in the end, it's not gonna change the situation of the team fight. And I see this so much, even from top 500 Tracer players. I try to do this like it's 4v1. There's no, it's a king of the hill, so there's no one that can contest the point for him. They have like tanks alive and stuff like that. They pulse bomb the Zenyatta, they kill the Zenyatta. After the fight is called lost, they kill maybe even one more and then they die. And now, you know, we didn't get any value out of it and we wasted our pulse bomb. So that's really all I wanted to say. I hope that this guide helped. Tell me please if you want at part 2 for this video series, talking more about the blink range and blink management and how to practice that and the melees and 1v1s or whatever. And I can definitely make a video on that. I hope you guys liked this video. As always, if you didn't like it, dislike. If you didn't, drop down your opinions down in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and click that notification button if you want to keep updated. And as always, guys, my name has been Jonal. You guys stay positive, and as always, keep the enemy in your crosshair.